This time on LensVid Talk, Sony has two new cameras. We've got new lenses from Sigma, Nikon, and Viltrox, and an AI that can add camera angles you never actually shot. Stick around.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Lou.
Hey, Ito.
Hi. And today we're recording LensVid Talk 41. So we reached that number. And let's start with some pretty interesting stuff. This is called the T3620CM. It's basically a carbon fiber tabletop tripod, basically, from Sunway Photo. Now, I want to mention something about this and a few other products that we just got from Sunway Photo. These are related to basically a cooperation that we're doing with them that we'll talk about in a future video. But we're not going to do a full review of this, probably a short, just to show what this can actually do. But you play with this. This is kind of like extremely well made, I would say, right?
And you've added those counterweights on there. That's not part of the original.
Yeah. It has a hook underneath the tripod, and you can replace, if you like, the flat top with basically a half bowl. I'm assuming a 75 millimeter. We didn't get it. Now the locking legs, which extend, as you can see, very well made. Like the carbon fiber is like. You can feel that it's very well made.
These knobs feel really like heavy duty.
Sunway Photo knows how to make very high quality stuff. This is part of the reason why we're currently partnering with them to make some things that I will not mention in this video. But it's very well made. In some ways, it's similar to, we have a Benro hi-hat, small tabletop hi-hat or mini tripod, if you like, but a heavy-duty one. The only thing which I actually like better on the Benro, and I told the Sunway Photo this, is that the legs, the actual feet on the Benro are like, they're flexible and they have more like contact points with the table. So I would say that they're better for like studio shooting, like when you have like floor or table or something that you put it on, which is straight. This is probably better if you're looking at the feet. I think it also we also got it with spikes. So this is probably better for I would say like outdoor use, like a very heavy duty one. Yeah, you can obviously disassemble this and connect the spikes. It would be nice if they can make a similar leg to the one that the Benro has, because it's more stable. And as you mentioned, we added the about 1 kilogram of weights underneath the tripod itself to make it even like more.
It is pretty light.
Yeah, no, the thing itself is light, but you would probably want it heavier if you're using it like in the studio and want more stability. So this is why I added it. I'm not sure if I'll keep it there, but you know, that's pretty cool. And as I said, we will probably have a short on this showing all the stuff that you can do. Thank you. And so that's the Sunway Photo T3620CM. That's the mini tripod. Okay, now let's actually start talking about some stuff. Before we go into some news, I have a few news of our own. So the first one is that we actually bought two Sony FX2 cameras. We mentioned the FX2s in a video, I think in one of the previous LensVid Talks, the previous one or one before that, when they were announced, and now we got two of our own. They're going to replace a couple of cameras that we have. The idea is to use them for LensVid Talk. So we're now shooting with an A7 IV, an A1 I think is pointing at you, and an A7R5. And these cameras are okay, but especially if you're shooting for like a long period of time, I wouldn't say that they're ideal for this purpose.
The ones that you were using before.
Yeah, that we are using right now. Yeah, right. They're usually okay. Like I think that did we ever get overheating? Maybe once. I don't know. I don't think so. But
maybe the heat that it does have is adding to the power consumption.
Yeah. No, it has disadvantages. The
And then
advantage
you have
of
issues from that.
yeah. No, the FX2 obviously has the advantage that it has internal fan, so it can withstand more heat probably, and as a consequence of this, can probably record for a longer period of time. We are shooting this in 1080p, so usually in 1080p we don't have issues. If we're shooting in 4K with the A1, we do have issues a lot of time, especially in like warmer temperatures, and we are turning off the AC when we're shooting this to reduce the noise. So again, this is the solution for that. At least 2 cameras. We are shooting with 3. The third camera will probably keep being the A7R V, at least until the FX4 or whatever its name is going to be will come to the market, and then that will probably be the camera that we'll use. But we'll see. So we got this about 2 weeks ago, and I took it for a family vacation trip to Hungary. And I took it not because it's a great stills camera, and I'll talk about it in a moment, but I wanted to, first of all, play around with it and see what it can do, because the menus are a little bit different than the alpha cameras that I'm used to. Not very different, but a little bit. And again, the ergonomics is different. I have some, like, I would say preliminary findings. It's not a review or anything. It's just my observations, basically. So first of all, as we talked about, it has this like viewfinder that you can like look like this. It's actually more usable than you would think. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of situations where I actually use it. So this is pretty cool. It's just, sometimes you want to shoot like at this height.
Right.
So you just look down and, it's very convenient. So this is one thing. In terms of ergonomics, it has more like buttons that you can assign, which is pretty cool. I'm still not accustomed to the on-off switch, which is on the back, which is, there's nothing special about this. This is all the FX cameras are like that, or at least the FX3 and FX30 and whatever are like that. I'm still like more akin to the on-off in here. But it does have the probably the advantage that maybe it's less likely to be like turned on in the bag.
I was just thinking the same thing. That's the bane of our existence.
I need to use it more to see if this happens or not, but we'll see. What I didn't like, and this is a big one, I use it a little bit for video, but actually more for stills, just because this was the nature of what, a family trip is. You don't shoot a lot of videos, you shoot more stills usually. Now, I would say this. I would not buy it if even 50% of what you're shooting is stills. If you're shooting video, if the purpose of why you're buying this camera is for video, and then you just want to be sure that you can shoot stills, because you need it in a pinch for whatever, then that's fine. But even if 50% or even 40 or 30% of what you're shooting is stills, I would still buy the A7 IV, unless you really, really need the long recording time that is the reason why we actually bought this.
And why is that?
Because the ergonomics is just wrong for stills. And I'll give a few examples. First of all, I don't know if you noticed, you played with this before, the joystick is in here. Mm-hmm. This is completely uncomfortable. I don't know how to even explain this. This is not where your hand goes. If you want to change the autofocus point, you usually play in here. Doing so in here I have very small hands. For my hands, this simply doesn't work. It's just way too on the top. And another thing that I noticed is that the grip is much deeper than the grip on all of my other cameras. So deeper than the A1, the A7R V, the A7 IV. Now, if you have bigger hands, maybe it's good for you. For my hands, this is completely uncomfortable. It was actually difficult for me to handhold this for a long time. And this is why I was using this, but still, it's not comfortable. Again, maybe for somebody with larger hands, this will be more comfortable. It's not comfortable for me. For video, it's on a tripod or a gimbal or whatever, or even handheld like this, that's fine. But for stills, I don't know. And something important about the viewfinder. So as I said, this is pretty cool, but this has a pretty big downside. As you can see, this protrudes from the back of the camera quite a lot. You can see it like this. The problem is that if you're putting it in the bag, this can pop up very easily. And then if this gets hit from the side, it can break. And I'm assuming that now, at the moment, there are not a lot of these on the market. I'm assuming that in a few months, we'll start hearing people with broken like viewfinders. That's going to be probably a lot of money and very difficult. So I have some thoughts about this. I'll not share them here, but we'll see. That's my my point of view of this. This is like very like early on for using this, but the main use case, as I said, is going to be in the studio for shooting this. So it's not going to do a lot. It's going to be very like stationary and very specific way of shooting, basically. So this is what I have to say about this. It's an interesting camera. I think an interesting price point, basically, for this. But I definitely am looking forward for the FX4 or FX3 Mark II, whatever it's going to be called, because it's going to be a much more interesting camera. Okay. So that was my FX2 first impressions. Let's talk about a new Sony camera. And that's basically the
RX1R
RX1R Mark III. Okay, so first a little bit of background. 10 years ago, Sony released the RX1 Mark II, RX1R Mark II, which is basically, for those who don't know, sort of a full-frame compact camera, very high-end, which a lot of people liked. And I'm not sure, but I think it's still selling. And even now, the price is actually the same or even higher than what it was like 10 years ago.
Wow.
Which is like, I mean, yeah, there are tariffs and there is like inflation and whatever you want to call it. But having a 10-year-old camera selling for... Think about a phone. Would you buy a 10-year-old iPhone for the same price as in like the price that it was announced at?
I think this is more likely for a pocket camera than for a full frame
regular camera. Yeah,
regular maybe. Mirrorless camera.
No, it was a very impressive camera at the time. It had all sorts of interesting features. It had a tilt screen, which the new one doesn't, which is like a downgrade in a way. But yeah, obviously, look, the new camera. When the new one was announced, there was a ton of like backlash for Sony about some of the features or lack of the features, and more than anything about the price, which is really, really high. We'll mention this in a second, but look, it has no IBIS. It lacks weather sealing. The battery is small. It's bigger than it was on the original version, but still very small. It has the same old lens design, which some people like, but on the other hand, the autofocus is slow because look, it's a very old like size design. It has a fixed LCD, as I mentioned, and the price tag is really, really high. We're talking like $5,000 something dollars, $5,100 basically. That's very, very high. That's almost like, that's not very far from the A1 or the A1 Mark II, whatever. Very expensive camera. Now, look, some people are saying, well, what do you want? If you're looking at like a Leica, so some of the Leicas are, which is similar to this full frame. I forgot the exact one. I put it on the screen, but are like priced at even like a higher price tag, like over $6,000. And obviously they don't have the same quality of autofocus system and all sorts of other features that this has. That's true. But Sony's not Leica. Like Leica is in a way is a collectible. It's like high-end piece of jewelry in a way. So you're expected pay like a high price for that. That's not that. So I don't think that Sony can actually charge this amount of money for the camera. Now, this is where things are getting a little bit complicated, because they released the camera and apparently it sold, like the first batch or whatever sold very, very quickly. Now, in a way, this is to be expected, because I'm assuming that they didn't like make enough of them. They made a small batch just to see how how things are going. And so there are enough people who can pay over $5,000 for like this luxury compact camera, and you know, so it's expected that they sold it. It's not a surprise, at least not to me. The problem is what they will like basically think about the fact that they actually sold all of them. Because if they see that they can sell cameras for this amount of money, then they will say, you know, okay, so let's price the A7R, not R, the A7 IV at $1,000 more. Why not? And I think that will be a very wrong conclusion, because that's not the same market. This is like a very niche high-end camera aimed at, doctors or lawyers or IT guys that want a high-end camera to brag around at the weekend, or street photographers who have a lot of money, and not the same like professional camera that an A7 IV or FX2 or whatever those cameras are supposed to be. So I hope that Sony will not draw the wrong conclusions out of people actually buying this camera at this price. What this does have is, well, I would say it's not bringing anything really new. So it has the same 61 megapixel sensor that the A7R V has, and the what's the name of the other camera? The AC? You know what I'm talking about?
A7CR?
Yeah, exactly. So the same sensor, basically. So it's the same high-end, high-resolution sensor. It has, I think, a pretty high-resolution monitor, which is also cool. It has the AI chip, I think, so that's also pretty nice. As we said, it doesn't have IBIS, and it doesn't, I think, that the lens itself doesn't have image stabilization, so it's kind of not great. The battery is the same as the one that some of the older A6000 series cameras has.
Right.
So the FW50, I think. Again, it's larger than the original one, but it's not an FZ100.
Right.
Now, my gripe with this camera, forget about the price for a second. My problem with this camera is that this is marketed as a compact camera, a pocketable camera. I don't know if they're saying this, but what people are usually thinking about this is something that you can put in your pocket. And you can't. Like, the camera itself is really, really small, so you can give it to them. But the lens is not. So it's like, okay, so I can put the camera in the pocket, but when you go to the lens, it's like protruding too much. So maybe in a jacket pocket, but then, you can put other cameras in a jacket pocket. You don't have to buy this. So I don't see a big, like, it's not enticing enough to be like a really tiny street camera that you can take and take pictures with. And other than that, I mean, the camera is cool. I've seen some reviews. People are really loving it. I wouldn't expect the camera itself to be like bad in any way. But for the price and the big lens, I don't know. What I would like to see from Sony is something in between. So they have the RX100 series, which they haven't like renewed in quite a long time. And now they have this, which is like the RX100 is like a 1-inch sensor, and this is a full frame. So what makes sense is that they will make an APS-C for a significantly less amount of money, so probably under $2,000 or whatever, with basically, I would make it a pancake zoom lens. That would make the most sense to me, and that could be a really like useful camera for a lot of like street photographers who don't have the money to spend on this, and want a smaller camera. Even if you forget about the money, they just want a camera that they can actually put in the pocket. So this is what I would like to see from Sony, but this is not what we got. Okay, the next one is another Sony camera which got very little attention, but it's actually very interesting. We don't cover camcorders that much here because it's less of our target audience, and honestly, there are not too many of them these days. But this is interesting. This is called the Sony PXW-Z300. Long name. It's basically like a triple half-inch sensor camcorder, like a not too big one, like I think more or less something like this. But it has all the, I don't know if all, but a lot of the features that you would expect from any of their other like recent cameras. So it has 4K 60, obviously, VND built in. It has the
electronic.
Yeah,
actually, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it has the AI chip. It has a 17x zoom, which makes sense. Like this is something for mostly for broadcast. So let's say that you want something compact for broadcast. You need to shoot, I know, somebody giving like a talk on, I know, a corporate video or whatever. Like basically for any sort of like a broadcast sort of situation. And that's pretty cool. Again, it has all the most recent features that you can find on whatever the FX2 or the most recent Sony cameras for like cine cameras, but in a broadcast sort of like.
It also has a 1.9 constant aperture.
Oh, really? The lens? Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Again, remember that the sensor is small. This is a half an inch triple sensor,
which is why 1.9 aperture is going to help that out quite a bit. It will be
something important about this. A lot of people are thinking, those small sensors are problematic, and it's true in a way for some sorts of situations, especially if you're shooting like a cinematic sort of shooting. It makes sense that you would like a larger sensor to get more separation from the background, better like I would say dynamic range and maybe slightly better ISO performance depending on the sensor itself. But in this case, I would say that the fact that you don't have a lot of separation from the background is actually an advantage in some scenarios for broadcast, because sometimes you want the person to be like to see both the person and the background like both more or less in focus. So there is a lot of like advantage to this, I think, and which you can't get with a large sensor unless you like close down a lot, and even then I'm not sure if it's possible.
Optical image stabilization, compatible with the M&C app.
Yeah.
And it's claimed to be the world's first camcorder to embed digital signatures directly into files, enabling content authentication.
Yeah, they've done that, I think, on other things, but for this, it makes a lot of sense. Cool. Especially with all the AI, stuff. You want to know if you're shooting, the president saying something. You want to know that this is like authentic. Or I know a police investigator shooting something. Then maybe it's actually true. It's not cheap. It's $8,300. But for those who need it. It exists, that's the thing, and it's not very big. I'm not sure what the weight is, but it's not too big. So let's talk about another camera from the different side of things. So this is the Insta360 Go Ultra. Now we have the original one, the 360 Go 3, the regular one. This one is kind of strange. It has a different form factor. So the original one is like this. Teardrop, like tiny teardrop, narrow thing. The new one it's not that big. Like it's still smaller than I would say a regular action camera, but it's like more or less twice the width of the original one. So it's a square, I think, shaped. What does it have? So it has a larger sensor. It has 4K 60. And it has a swappable micro SD. These are the main things. Did you write anything else that you see?
I like the multiple stabilization modes.
Okay.
And waterproof up until 33 feet.
Oh, okay. So like 10 meters basically.
Yeah.
And it's $450. I have to admit that the image quality from the original one, we used it like for we needed a short bit of a top-down thing when we were recording like a cooking video. And we shot like above, we had some something that takes the steam out of the counter cooktop thing. So it has a magnet, so we like magnetize it to the top, but the image quality was not usable. So I'm not sure if we're not using it a lot. We use it for like trick shots and stuff like that, where the image quality is not that important. But for that purpose, it wasn't usable. So I'm honestly not that keen of that camera, but I know that there are a lot of people who are using it. So it is what it is. Maybe the image quality on this with the larger sensor is a little bit better. But yeah, that's the Insta360 Go Ultra. Now let's talk about the camera that Sony should have made. And this is actually coming from Ricoh, which is a company that you don't hear a lot about.
I think I had a Ricoh pocket camera back in the late 80s or early 90s.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a long time ago. Okay. So this is the Ricoh GR IV. They had these in the past. This is like the latest model. So it has a 26 megapixel APS-C BSI CMOS sensor. It has a new lens, 28 millimeter f2.8 fixed lens. A faster autofocus than the previous generation, better low light capabilities, and image stabilization. So all sorts of things that the very expensive Sony doesn't have. It has 53 gigs of internal memory, which is something that I would really like to see on more cameras. Actually, I would like to see more than 53, but that's a start. It has a new battery, still pretty small, 250 shots officially. It's not a lot.
Nope.
And it costs $1,500, which is, I would say, more or less what I would expect. Probably the Sony would cost more because it's Sony, but anything under $2,000 with more or less this specification from Sony would be, I think, an instant hit, because it just feels a space in the market that currently at least Sony doesn't have an answer to. As I said before, would like to see a zoom, basically a zoom pancake lens instead of a prime. I would assume that this is not what Sony will do. It will do something like this, but I think that that's wrong, because for the market, I think that a variable aperture zoom lens would actually be much more usable. Like if you can have, 18 to 35 pancake lens with an f3.5 to f5.6 aperture, yeah, it won't be very fast, but modern sensors can go very high up in terms of like the ISO without like breaking down, without introducing too much noise. So I think that will be much more usable, because you can't recreate like a wider angle in post. You can reduce noise maybe in post, but you can't fix the wide angle issue. So, oh, by the way, we didn't mention this, but the Sony does have I'm talking about the big one, the
PXW,
the RX1. No, the RX1 Mark III,
the pocket camera.
Yeah. It does have the option to crop in the camera for like different virtual focal lengths, which is, it's nice, but you can do it in post. I would much rather, obviously, to have an actual zoom lens. On that camera, it maybe doesn't make sense, but on the camera that I'm talking about, for sure, makes a lot of sense. So anyway, yeah, so that's the Ricoh GR IV or 4, $1,500. Really interesting camera. I would definitely like to see more in this niche of the market. Nikon has a new 24 to 70 lens. This is the 24 to 70 f2.8 S Mark II or version 2. I honestly don't have a lot to say about it. I think it's
it claims to be the world's first internally.
Yeah. That was.
Is that true? I thought the new Sony 24 to 70 was internally. No. It extends, huh?
Just to clarify, this is the first lens that all the 2470s that I know about have basically, when you turn from 24 to 70, they extend. Exactly. And this has a lot of drawbacks. It's prone to like break, or it's a mechanical part which is like
you're opening outside the inside of the camera, dust can get in. The lens
to dust, exactly. And like some of them are obviously dust and moisture resistant, but if it's all internal, then it means that it's less likely to introduce dust inside. So that's that.
Easier to balance on a gimbal.
True, exactly. So that's another thing. Although I'm assuming like the mechanism is internal, so the balance, the weight does change. I'm assuming
it does.
So is it?
It's just less than. Yeah. Ideally, it's less than.
Maybe
an extending barrel.
Exactly. It is longer, obviously, than the Sony and the previous Nikon. But it's actually very light. I didn't write the weight. I think it's like 600 and something grams. I don't know. I'll write it on the screen. But it's less. It's longer but less heavy.
I think that's almost half of my Sigma 2470. I think it's around 1,000.
I'll write the two on the screen. I think that there is a new Sigma version as well.
Yes,
you have the first generation. There is a new one.
Yes.
Yeah. Sigma, by the way, it's I don't know if we're talking about Sigma in a second, right? But they're doing tremendous things recently, and they have apparently a lot of new lenses coming up in the near future. So yeah, that's the 24 to 70 f2.8s version 2. Do you know the pricing?
No.
I think it's very expensive, like close to $3,000, around $3,000, something like that. Again, I'll write it, but yeah, expensive. Okay, so now let's go to Sigma. And Sigma, as I said, is doing amazing things recently. So there are two lenses here, and I think that there are at least another one or two lenses that are rumored to come out like in the very near future. So the first one is the Sigma 200mm f2. Have you seen that one?
Yes.
It's really impressive. And I want to go back, how many years? I think it's like 15 years back. I remember the first Photokina I went to in 2010, Photokina trade show, which ended sadly in 2018. And I remember hand-holding a Canon 200mm f2. I don't know if it was new back then, maybe.
Was it twice the size of this?
I wasn't able to, like, I was with a camera. I think it was one of their like high-end professional ones, DSLR, obviously. And I handheld it for, I don't know, like 2 minutes, and was too heavy for me. Like it was at the start of my like photographic career, so I wasn't.
That's really hard, though.
Yeah, no, I wasn't. I wasn't used to that. Now I can probably handle it much more easily because I'm used to that. But still, I mean, it was a very, very heavy lens. This thing, how much does it weigh? 1.8 kilograms. It's not that heavy. I mean, yeah, obviously it's not light, but you know, it's much lighter than that one was. It has, what does it have? It has 17 elements in 12 groups, 6.5 stops of image stabilization, optical, which is nice. 105 millimeter filter, front filter. The minimum focus distance is 1.7 meters. So it's not something that you're going to shoot a lot of close-ups with, but that's to be expected. This is basically like a very high-end portrait lens, and maybe like for sports, like indoor sports. I know, basketball, stuff like that. What else? Hockey. I know you know indoor sports probably better than I do. What else would you use it for?
Performances in an auditorium.
Okay, yeah. Actually, you're right. Yeah. Would I go to like a concert with this?
Yes.
If I have like
Yeah.
good access to the inner ring,
Yeah,
and I know that
you have to be placed correctly. Yeah.
because
the right
I would
distance.
not want to be squished with like a million people around me, getting hit from all sides, holding this. That's not a good place for this lens to be. But yeah, if you're close to the stage, and yeah, that's really cool. It's not that expensive, to be honest, for what it is.
Right.
It's $3,300. Again, it's not a cheap lens by any means, but for what it is, it's very impressive. And this lens has a new competitor from a pretty unexpected company, Laowa.
Oh.
I'm not going to go into that because that lens was not announced, but it was shown. So basically, it's semi-official. Let's put it this way. And I talked to Laowa about it as well. It's probably going to be an IBC that we're going to, so we will see it there. But it's interesting. I think that the Laowa is, slightly lighter somehow, but I'm not sure if how the autofocus compared to this one. It will be interesting to see. So that's the Sigma. Sigma also has an interesting APS-C lens. It's a 12 millimeter f1.4 DC APS-C.
I have the Sony 11
millimeter
1.8.
Yeah.
So this is like making me a little bit jealous because immediately I realized 11 millimeter, even on APS-C, it's too wide. There's very few things that I find easy to compose easily, and so just a little bit less wide would be perfect. So like even though 12, it's 1 millimeter difference, but
you can always, if it's for stills, you can always crop, and in video, of course, you can zoom in. So yeah,
of course.
But it also depends on the curvature and how it
right.
Yeah. So there are corrections, obviously, but I know. Anyway, so this is a 12 millimeter f1.4, so it's a very fast wide lens.
Yeah.
It's about, I would say, 18 millimeter on a full frame, something like that.
18, yeah, that's what they said.
Something like that.
Yep.
It's very, very, very light. You're talking 225 grams. So it's like super light lens. I have the 16 millimeter f1.4 Sigma lens. Fantastic for APS-C. It's a fantastic lens, super sharp. The thing is that there are not a lot of Sony cameras that you can use it on. Maybe the FX30, the A6700, it's now very old, and they have, I think, a ZV-E10 or whatever. I don't remember which one of the ZV lenses, cameras have the APS-C E-mount. It's a 62 millimeter front filter, 17 centimeter close-up distance, and it comes also in, besides the E-mount, an RF and an X mount. And it's $630. So not super cheap and not super expensive. It's an interesting lens. I don't see us testing it again because we don't have the correct body to test it on. But it does exist. So that's that. The next one is from Viltrox. And apparently Viltrox has just released a DJI compatible lens for their large drones, the Inspire 3 and Ronin 4D.
I feel like the Viltrox lenses tend to run pretty light in terms of their weight anyway, so maybe they were perfectly positioned to develop
a drone lens.
Drone lenses.
Yeah. No, I think that a lot of people miss the fact that this is also a Ronin 4D compatible lens. So that's actually pretty cool. Again, it's very light. You would want a light camera on the Ronin 4D because it's really heavy setup. So that's nice. And it's like 170 grams. That's like nothing. Really nothing. It's a 90 millimeter lens. I would be interesting to see how a 90 millimeter lens would work on the Ronin 4D because look, it's a gimbal and it's stabilized, but remember 90 millimeter is
right.
It's pretty
you
long
need a lot
telephoto.
of state for that.
Yeah. So that's an interesting. I don't think that we'll have a chance to see it, but maybe somebody will make a video and we can see how it works. And it's $500, so pretty inexpensive. It's an interesting option for those who are using this. Mitacon, the Chinese manufacturer. Am I pronouncing this correctly?
Mitacon, that's how I pronounce it.
Yeah, a French accent. Mitacon.
Mitacon,
Something like that. No, but it's a Chinese brand.
As you like.
Yeah, so they have a 55mm f2.8 1 to 5x macro lens. We have seen a couple of those.
Yeah.
But
they're usually very soft. They usually have all kinds of issues with the picture quality.
Soft.
Soft in the corners. I mean, I don't think it was Mitacon. I think it was a different
Yeah, there are all
company.
sorts of, a number of companies have
But
them.
this is a high quality lens.
This?
Yeah.
I don't know.
This had much better image quality.
You've seen some reviews?
Christopher Frost, I think.
Really? Okay, that's I didn't
think
see
it was
that
Christopher Frost or someone similar.
one. Okay, that's
said
interesting.
that the image quality, and I remember thinking this looks better than the usual 1 to 5 times lenses that I've seen.
I didn't see reviews. Okay,
Yeah.
it's not very expensive. It's $400,
And it's f2.8. That's the thing that I never see with.
No. They are usually. Actually, I see this as a disadvantage. I would make this lens an f8. I'm not kidding.
Well, that's where you want to be shooting it at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see any. This doesn't, if memory serves, this has no infinity focus. So this is a true macro lens. And when you're shooting macro, you're usually you could, in theory, be at f40. Because, you can do focus stacking, and you probably are going to do it 5x magnification. But even if you're at 1x magnification, 2x magnification, you can do focus stacking, again, depending on what you're shooting. So I definitely don't need f2.8. And I don't understand why companies are actually insisting on doing all these macro lenses, like especially the super macro lenses, with like these bright apertures. You can make them much better and much smaller and less expensive with f4, 5.6, and even f8. It wouldn't take anything of the actual usage of the lens, whatever. That's the Mitacon 55mm f2.8. Now let's talk about two software AI, whatever you want to call them. So the first is a really, really impressive thing that was recently announced. It's called the Runway Aleph, which is kind of, I heard Aleph is obviously the first letter in the Hebrew alphabet. And it's kind of funny how they people who don't speak Hebrew pronounce it, but that's just me. But anyway, this is Runway has all sorts of AI stuff for video for a long time, but this thing is really impressive. What it can do is basically create. You can tell it to create a scene, and then tell it to
first you're giving it some footage.
You can give it a footage, and I think you can give it a prompt. So it depends on how you want to work with it. But let's say that you're starting with a footage, and then you can say, I want this footage that you created from a different angle, and it has continuity. So let's say that I took a picture of you, I gave it to the AI, and I told it to have you in a beach in Hawaii, and then with the camera facing you from the front, with your back to the ocean, whatever. And then I want an image from a drone. It will keep you, because a lot of the problems that AI had until now was with continuity. Like if I tell it to do another scene with you in the next scene, it won't be you. It will be a variation of you of something else.
Right.
And with this, at least from the demos that I've seen, it can keep you the same person or same object or whatever in the next scene, which is super important. So this is cool. And what I especially liked about this is that you can do all sorts of really crazy effects. So I've seen like, I think you seen the demo?
Yeah, but I don't remember effects.
I think I've seen like a person hand with like ice and then fire on the hand or something like
wow.
that. And you could do all sorts of things that you could have done until now only with like complicated VFX software or like After Effects or something like that. But now you can do it with a prompt. Like I can shoot my hand and then tell it to have my hand on fire. Try and do it with After Effects. I mean, professionals can do it, but it will take them time, and they need to learn the software and know how to do it. Now you can do it with a prompt. That's amazing.
Yeah.
The whole effect things, especially when it comes to like products, because what we do is product photography for the most part, is something that we're going to like dive deep into. And I know, did you see the new Nano banana things from Google? It was announced, I think, as part of like the Google Gemini just now, like a couple of days ago. And by the way, we are recording this for, I'll just mention, in basically late August 2025. I don't know when it's going to be up, but that's the time that we're recording this. So anyway, Google had this new, it's a stills, like it's basically like an image AI engine, but it's very, very capable. We tried all sorts of things. It's interesting. It's not impervious to issues. I tried taking a picture of my kid and putting him in like he has a TV show that he likes, so in a costume of that TV show, and for some reason it just didn't want to do it. Maybe because he's a kid and it has like anti-kid. I don't know. But yeah, these things are not perfect yet. But this is interesting, the Runway Aleph. And I think it starts, you can do it with credits or like a subscription starting from like 30 or 60 bucks per month or per credit or whatever. I'm definitely going to try this. Maybe I'll even talk to them if I have a chance. So that's that. And finally, something which is, that's not exactly, it's a firmware update, not a software. But basically, Rode had a firmware update for both the Rodecaster Pro 2, the recorder that I actually own, and the Rodecaster Duo, which is like the smaller version. And what this does, it was developed by a company called Vortex. I'm actually not that familiar with them. I'm assuming an audio or communication company, whatever. It's basically a high fidelity, low latency. This is the way they describe this. High fidelity, low latency audio connections over Wi-Fi or Ethernet, allowing you to do like a voice over IP for broadcast. So basically this whole complicated thing means, if I understand it correctly, that if you have two units stationed, like one, let's say the person that is doing the interview has one unit, and the other person who's doing like the voice over IP or the whatever, the Zoom conversation or interview, whatever, has another one, they can communicate directly with very low latency and very high like audio quality directly, instead of going through the Zoom or whatever other infrastructure that they're using. That's pretty cool. I think that the basic service is free, but if you want like extras, it costs money.
Right.
It's cool. I don't have any specific use for it right now, but maybe in the future, I don't know. So yeah, that's the Rodecaster Call Me feature firmware update. So I think, unless you have anything to add, that this is everything that we have for LensVid Talk 41. Thank you, Lou.
You're welcome.
And as always, don't forget to subscribe, and we will see you in the next LensVid Talk and review.
Bye now.